Is there any crossover as ambitious as Smash Ultimate? It's got wildly different series from all over gaming history represented, duking it out in dream matches never before thought possible. The seed started with Brawl, introducing Snake and Sonic onto the roster. Crossovers happen in fighting games all the time. Soul Calibur had Heihachi, Spawn, Link, Darth Vader, Yoda, and Ezio, for example. X-Men vs. Street Fighter eventually led to Marvel vs. Capcom, and then eventually led to this giant turd. Even the world of Tony Hawk had Spider-Man, Iron Man, Wolverine, Darth Maul, the Doomslayer, Shrek, and the sound of money hitting Gene Simmons' bank account. The point is, crossovers are nothing new in the world of video games. As wrong and backwards as it is to have Phoenix Wright kicking the shit out of Dr. Doom, it's hard to say that people could predict Donald and Goofy also kicking the shit out of Cloud Strife. Or, more accurately, Goofy and Sora doing it while Donald's corpse lies in the corner until it's ready to spring back into action. Yes, Kingdom Hearts is a fever dream that still doesn't really seem real, and it's captured the hearts of millions while also making sure only people with the IQ of Batman can follow what's going on in this goddamn series. Kingdom Hearts begins with Sora's dive to the heart, but Sora Donald's destiny walk down a long path. Kingdom Hearts 2 begins where Kingdom Hearts trying to start to fall fantasy to Eventually, Nomura will take us to look at the bunnies and execute us from behind as an act of mercy once we've gone brain dead trying to figure this shit out. Well, you know as well as I do that the best place to start is at the beginning with Kingdom Hearts 1, so it won't be too bad, right? Well, the thing is, we've gone back to before the beginning once, and we did it again, and then again, and possibly again. Here's how this is gonna work. Unlike my zombie videos, which you should totally watch by the way, I won't be going by series and I won't be going one at a time explaining their journeys. This video will probably be long enough as it is, but I'll go through the story beats and mention when characters hit roadblocks that end their journey if they do. Unlike other videos, I'll actually let the 3 Mii fighters join as well with their default movesets and abilities. Also, unlike my usual videos, only the default outfits will be on this run. That means no Alf, Enderman, Koopalings, you get it. Characters will be grouped into these tiers: completes everything, beat the game, or failure. Notes if there's any peculiar cases. Since Sora is the main character of the game and canonically beat it already, he's exempt from the challenge. Obviously it's redundant. Also, we'll have to ignore anything to do with the Keyblade being needed to lock or unlock keyholes, as Sora's the only one who can. We're pretending they either don't exist or get magically sealed otherwise. Each character is going to use their canon abilities, not their Smash ones unless otherwise stated. So characters like Wii Fit Trainer, Duck Hunt, or Isabelle, for example, don't have these crazy fighting moves in canon like they do in Smash. Even though we'll go off of each character's abilities and feats within their own canons, for these videos I wanted to say in this case, Ridley, K. Rool, Olimar, Rob, and the 3 Kirby characters will be at their Smash heights. Ridley and K. Rool wouldn't fit in the gummy ship and the others couldn't do much with their limited size. Speaking of Olimar, since Pikmin don't exist anywhere, I will give him 1 Pikmin of each color to take on the journey, and they are more or less invulnerable. Similarly, Rob will get a Smash moveset because otherwise he's just a toy. Mr. Game & Watch will also get a Smash moveset because he's not one specific character in those old handhelds. Also give Joker his metaverse abilities like in Smash, even if it might not make that much sense. Pyra and Mithra normally need Rex to be at full power or possibly even function, but they're going to lose that weakness so the challenge can happen. Everyone will be replacing Sora. Cloud and Sephiroth are special as they exist in this game as well, but Kingdom Hearts has a different continuity than FF7. Sephiroth is Cloud's dark half or something in the series. They even intentionally gave them the same face. For this video, we're taking them from their original continuity, and they'll be treated as distinct characters from these counterparts. So yes, Cloud versus Cloud will happen, and Sephiroth versus Sephiroth could happen, though it's not required to beat the game. Just remember this, guys. I'm going to say things you might not agree with. I may say things that sounds illogical to you, but it makes sense to me, or I may forget or be unaware of a certain feat or ability a character has. I'm a guy pretending to be a mythical fish whale thing talking about which video game characters can beat Disney villains and long-haired anime boys in an action JRPG made for kids.
I know who I am! I'm a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude! What?
None of this really makes sense, so try and have fun, and if I get something wrong, you don't have to take it so seriously. Constructive criticism is always welcome. I always try to improve, but comments like, "You're stupid because you forgot about X," and like I see 100 times a video isn't that helpful. Just enjoy the journey and let's get started. Destiny Islands is just for tutorials and introducing Sora as a character. Since there's not a lot to say or do, we're skipping over this whole section. I mean, Do you really want Wario hanging around a bunch of kids alone on an island for days? Yeah, I didn't think so. I'm pretty sure he'd be arrested by whatever the world's version of the FBI are after day 1, so we're going to place every character at the same starting point when Sora wakes up in Traverse Town.
Choose your character.
One of the first things that happens is our cast of characters have to fight the Heartless as they wander the town. First off, we have some immediate eliminations. Isabelle and Duck Hunt immediately have 0 combat ability. Guess you could argue that these dogs could bite, but if Heartless give the Beast a hard time, do you really think these two could do anything? I feel Wii Fit Trainer is athletic enough, and the Ice Climbers and Inkling have just enough weaponry to sneak by against these base level Heartless. The Villager could possibly survive with their tools, maybe.
Let's see that Keyblade.
What? There's no way you're getting this.
Alright, then have it your way.
Next, they would meet Squall. Leon if you're nasty, which Nomura decided to be. Luckily for some, this fight isn't mandatory to win, and some definitely won't. You can imagine all the Final Fantasy characters' confusion towards seeing Cloud and his confusion on why they're different. I suppose this Cloud wouldn't know Squall either, just Yuffie and Aerith. Now, you think they'd flip out seeing Sephiroth, but I don't know if anyone in this continuity that isn't KH Cloud even knows who he is, to be completely honest. It's kind of a mystery. Actually, this is a good point to bring up some of the villains and just generally more selfish characters. What reason would Sephiroth or Ganondorf have to do this journey in the first place? Would Wolf give a shit about anyone's problems? In my mind, this is a could they do it and not a would they do it, but if you really want, just assume they heard about this Kingdom Hearts thing and it supposedly grants unlimited power or whatever they desire. I think that's motivation enough to get them on board. The first boss of this run is Guard Armor. His spike in difficulty is going to end some runs here. Even though they meet up with Donald and Goofy, those two can't actually deal the finishing blow, and I don't see some of these fighters having enough strength to do so either. So the characters we have to say bye to are Ice Climbers, Olimar, Villager, Wii Fit Trainer, Inkling, Piranha Plant, the Mii Brawler, and Donald briefly as he inevitably gets KO'd during this fight. I don't see any of them having the power to hurt a literal set of armor with what they have at their disposal. Peach, Daisy, Jigglypuff, Pichu, Yoshi, Diddy Kong, and Little Mac have just enough extra firepower to barely make it through this fight, but it's kind of an early warning that I don't think they'll last.
And you can't come along looking like that. Understand?
Ooh.
No frowning, no sad face, okay?
Yeah, you gotta look funny, like us. Whoa.
Whisper runs on happy faces.
Happy? Jeez.
That's one funny face.
Okay, why not? I'll go with you guys.
Donald Duck.
Name's Goofy.
I'm Sora.
So now we can move on to Wonderland or Olympus Coliseum. Olympus Coliseum isn't mandatory to complete the game, so let's skip it for now and go to Wonderland. Alice is about to be condemned by the Queen of Hearts for something she didn't do, and Sora and Goofy tell her is someone else responsible.
Court is now in session!
I'm on trial? But why?
Her Majesty, the Queen of Hearts, presiding.
This girl is the culprit. There's no doubt about it.
The Queen will ask all the characters to find evidence, but ultimately the outcome is always the same, where they have to do a fight against her card soldiers.
Show me what you got!
Mr. Game & Watch finally has other characters as flat as him and Corrin. I bet you Phoenix Wright could have gotten Alice a not guilty verdict with a half-eaten sandwich they found behind a mushroom and a toddler channeling her busty dead cousin, and I have so many questions about that series. Another time, perhaps. The only thing here really that would be a full stop for someone is the Trickmaster. Realistically, I don't see how Little Mac can actually reach the midsection to do damage, as the lower part is actually totally invincible. And even if he's the best boxer in the world, Fist probably won't do a lot, especially without leverage. Smash gives him a better vertical leap than he actually would have, and I believe it's the worst in the game anyways. So far, not too bad. Some of the weaker characters get a huge bonus from Goofy in the help department, and Donald is just there, either KO'd or sitting there not healing them. The next world they move to is Deep Jungle. Now, a big event happens that should change things for some characters, but it's something we'll have to just ignore and start everyone in the same place. Donald and Sora get into an argument, leading them to kind of crash land the gummy ship. We all know Donald's a hothead, and supposedly he thought Deep Jungle could be skipped as they search for King Mickey. Would these characters all argue with Donald and crash the ship? Some maybe, but probably not for most. I don't have a great reason for starting out in the treehouse alone against the war, but that's where everyone's going because I'm lazy and unimaginative.
Oh, my head. Donald? Goofy?
This is yet another fight you can't lose, as Tarzan will come to the rescue no matter what. So assuming the more powerful characters don't just vaporize or bisect the leopard, it'll be back later. The real challenge actually comes from the world layout itself. There's plenty of times the character has to leap from high ledges, swing from vines, and surf down tree trunks. Sora's floaty jump can land from pretty much any height, but most characters would be shattering femurs after this goddamn jump. I was thinking that some of the super heavies like Bowser and K. Rool would have their runs end here until I remembered they both have cheat codes enabled with their little propeller trinkets. You know, even with some characters having a much harder time navigating than others, they're all doing pretty well here. The fights against the boar aren't a big deal, the leopard shouldn't be harder to beat than the Heartless, at least realistically, and they can rescue the apes too. Actually, I'd love to witness DK's and Diddy's interactions with them. Could they speak fluently with Tarzan? Life truly is magical. You know what isn't magical? A goddamn gun. In the boss fight against Clayton in the stealth sneak, he'd realistically pose more of a problem. His gun isn't supposed to be a cartoony Elmer Fudd shotgun for hunting rabbits. It's a goddamn double-barreled elephant gun meant to kill large creatures on these jungle expeditions. Characters who aren't durable enough or reasonably fast enough are going down here. Reasonably fast doesn't mean they have to catch bullets with their teeth, just avoid his aim or getting close to deal with him. They have some other way to subdue their enemies like Jigglypuff's sing ability that works too. Unfortunately, I think that means we have to say bye to Mr. Game & Watch and Pac-Man. Wario almost didn't make it, and no, I'm tired of people saying he's immortal because he's the one that says it. Why would you believe this stupid face? He's a little more nimble than his figure would have you believe, though. The stealth sneak itself actually isn't much more of a concern than what we've already been fighting, ironically enough. Now that that's all taken care of, we need to head back to Traverse Town and try to get a navigation gummy and deal with some bullshit here. Even though the characters can visit Winnie the Pooh and play the mini-games just fine, would they want to? Well, Sephiroth would, for special reasons. Beyond that, it's not really worth talking about. Just know that it's something they all can beat eventually if they cared to. The opposite armor is just that first boss turned upside down. Well, somehow that makes it stronger, but I think all the same stuff still applies here. Anyone that passed the first fight will give a pass here too. Now, if we go past Deep Jungle, again, there's a fork in the road. If we go left, we reach Agrabah, and right is Atlantica. If we go right, there's a chance we end up being eaten by Monstro. I think the best option is to just go to Agrabah first.
And the keyhole?
The Heartless are searching for it now. I'm certain we'll find it soon enough.
Not much of note happens at the start. The fighters will kill some Heartless, meet up with Aladdin, and save Jasmine, for now at least. Honestly, there's not much stopping some of our characters from just kicking Jafar's ass right here, but alas, that's not the challenge of this video, is it? After a ride on the magic carpet that I don't know how K. Rool, Bowser, or Wario are doing, we arrive at the Cave of Wonders. Let's assume that either the carpet's just that strong or they Ubered their way there or something. After beating some Heartless and getting Genie voiced by Homer Simpson, they pad the runtime by heading back to the city.
Wish number one coming right up.
After having to unfortunately not give Jafar a pummeling yet, he gets Genie's lamp and seemingly puts Jasmine inside a pot that grows legs. This is our next boss, the pot centipede. I also believe some characters wouldn't have let it get this far. I mean, marijuana is a gateway drug, and just think how this poor centipede will be affected. I've just been informed it's literally a ceramic pot made into a centipede.
Marijuana's bad, and it also has a very distinct smell, okay?
Well, its drug habits aside, like I was saying, someone like Link, for example, probably would have just leapt into action and defeated Jafar right then and there and saved Jasmine. But the game's got a game, so we'll just say that something genie, blah 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 magic, and move on from the reef repeat. After a fairly easy fight, our heroes will find out Jafar tricked us, and Jasmine isn't there at all. So we have to head back to Cave of Wonders for even more padding. Man, those Uber rides are adding up. They must be making a killing. After arriving back, we see the iconic tiger head emerge from the sand, being possessed by Heartless. The goal here is to attack its eyes for some reason to cure it. I guess all Ash had to do against the possessed Deadites and Evil Dead was give him the whole Three Stooges maneuver, and he wouldn't have had to dismember his friends and loved ones. Oops. Eventually they succeed and we head into the Cave of Wonders proper. There's not much to say about the trip here, so after some platforming, we'll jump to the first fight against Jafar. He basically just floats around and shoots magic at you. Once he gets hit with magic, he casts a barrier that protects him from further elemental attacks, so you have to switch to physical. If you've been thinking we've gone a good while without eliminating someone, I have great news. Or bad news. Pichu's run ends here. I feel I've been very lenient letting it get this far, but its electric attacks were a big factor in that. Jafar's barrier makes its electricity useless, and unlike Pikachu, it doesn't have the physical attack capability to do almost anything to Jafar. I also don't see the energy blast from the Mii Gunner working either. Now, if phase 2 of the fight was just against Jafar's genie form, most characters would probably be cut, but because he can simply just chase Gilbert Gottfried and whack the lamp a bunch, I think it's basically a free fight. Once the fight is finished, we have to make a daring escape on the magic carpet to exit the crumbling cave. Bowser, K. Rool, and Wario are lucky that they get the Uber car that turns into a jet. Once Agrabah is done and dusted, we have some choices to make. Between the next 3 worlds, Halloween Town, Monstro, and Atlantica, they have to be 2 out of 3 to progress the story. It can be any combination, but it has to be at least 2. Since most players have the highest chance of encountering Monstro, he shows up randomly on one of the 2 branches. I'll start with him. Even though this isn't the first time everyone will encounter Riku, this is the first time he'll actively be a part of the plot.
But Sora, I thought you liked games. Or are you too cool to play them now that you have the Keyblade?
Riku? What are you doing here?
Just hanging around.
None of our characters know who Kairi is, so that was never on their minds. In this reimagining without Sora there, Riku alone is the one trying to rescue her. I suppose that means he has the Keyblade, but mechanically for our purposes it won't do much to change things here. He'll team up with our characters to free Pinocchio from the parasite cage, so Riku could solo it if he really wanted to. Afterwards, we find out Riku isn't a good guy and wants to turn Pinocchio into a real doll.
I have some unfinished business with this puppet.
Wait.
I want to be a real doll!
We eventually chase him down and corner him. After being ambushed again by the parasite cage, he retreats and lets our characters handle it. The room is flooded by stomach acid, so if some characters have prolonged exposure, it could prove fatal. It's not strong enough to kill immediately though, and everyone should be able to avoid it or get out quickly. Overall, I think Monstro was successful for everyone, and that means they only have to complete either Halloween Town or Atlantica to move on. Since Atlantica brings with it different problems, we'll try everyone out at Halloween Town next. If anyone can't complete Halloween Town, we'll try out Atlantica next. Donald's magic transforms everyone into suitable spooky looking versions of themselves, except Wario because he's ugly enough. Okay. Only the characters who don't already look alien or monstrous enough. Actually, if any of you are artists, I would love to see the Halloween Town and Atlantica alts for the Smash roster. That'd be pretty cool. So the first order of business here is escort Jack while he helps Professor find parts to make a heart. Eventually, after gathering everything, Locke, Shock, and Barrel steal one of the parts and we have to chase after them. I know that characters like Sonic, Captain Falcon, and Sheik, to name a few, could just catch him in like an instant, but that's not how the game goes, is it? So we have to nerf that too in the name of story progression. Eventually they lead us to Oogie Boogie's fortress, and our cast of characters find themselves climbing to the top from the outside. After they reach the top and beat those kids like they're stepchildren, we can open the path to Oogie Boogie himself. It's really not that hard to beat Oogie's first phase, but it'll be hard for him to beat that gambling addiction. Phase 2 begins with him doing a fusion dance with his own fortress, and we are tasked with platforming and destroying these orbs of darkness all around him to defeat him. My question is though, do we have to? I mean, I don't think he can go anywhere. Is he still a threat? Oh, alright. After breaking their legs or using Donald to cushion the jump, the fighters find themselves down in this valley once again. There are are shadow blobs all over him that are the source of his power, can only be damaged by a magical weapon, fire or ice elemental attacks. More accurately, the Keyblade is a weapon of light, so any sort of light magic will work on these as well. The characters say that it's brimming with the power of darkness. I know Donald has magic and could probably do it, but remember how I said that Sora has to be the one to beat the bosses? Well, guess what? Because of this technicality, there's certain characters that can't beat Halloween Town. Electric attacks have no effect on it, so that doesn't help, and none of the following characters have an appropriate element either. Donkey Kong, Yoshi, Pikachu, Jigglypuff, Dr. Mario, Meta Knight, Peach, Daisy, Diddy Kong aren't limited yet, but if they can't complete Atlantica, their run will end there. The Fire Emblem characters all have elemental attacks of some sort or a magic weapon that should be able to destroy the darkness. Dr. Mario and Mario are the same character, right? Well, normally yes, but I'm gonna add him as his own character, and while Mario has his fireballs, you can see Dr. Mario has pills. Stupid technicality, I know, but there's our distinction. Since he's not curing Oogie's erectile dysfunction, his pills are useless here. Kirby would have been on the list, but he could likely absorb some of the flames around the level and change to one. Sheik herself shouldn't be able to do it, but she's canonically Zelda, so she would have access to light magic for sure, and likely access to Din's fire. If you don't think that's fair, then I'm making this distinction that anyone should be able to pop the bubbles and can dispel it. I mean, I don't know, maybe? But to me, my logic is sound. Donald can damage them, but only Sora can deliver the final blow. Go watch Tulok Time's pacifist run of KH1 if you want confirmation that what I'm saying is true.
Also, we have to do the final hit on the Zit to pop it, but part of me feels like we could have hit all of the Zits the whole time. It's not a person, or even a monster. They don't give experience when you hit them, but eh.
After most fighters finish up Oogie Boogie, we're going to take a trip to Atlantica. Any fighters that have completed the previous two worlds don't have to be able to complete this one to beat the game, but it will have an impact on their final placement. So Donald's magic will transform any character that can exist underwater into an equivalent creature. Samus and Dark Samus have suits that can exist underwater anyways, but the way that Samus' suit in particular makes her navigation a little more difficult without the gravity suit and space jump or the gravity boost. Squirtle, Greninja, and Young Link with the Zora mask should be right at home here too. Solid Snake has his underwater breather too, but the problem is he'd be slow. Ridley can survive in the vacuum of space, at least for periods of time, so water wouldn't be a problem, I wouldn't think. I just don't know how maneuverable he would be. I think it's easiest to say everyone gets transformed to some aquatic version of themselves other than Samus, Dark Samus, Zora Link, Squirtle, and Greninja, as that just makes life easier. Dark Samus can kind of just will her movement around the water, and Samus will be given the gravity boost so she gets maximum movement capabilities. Unfortunately, we have to say goodbye to Jigglypuff right away. Not only does it not have any elemental attacks to handle the shadow orbs, there's a very weird problem it also has. It wouldn't be able to swim in the salty seawater. Seriously. Unless I did my calculations incorrectly, it's literally not dense enough to be able to go under the water. It kind of puts a damper on exploration. Yes, I know that Donald's magic maybe could make it dense enough, but at that point he could have helped Little Mac jump higher too, but he didn't. What an asshole. I would have thought that Kirby and Meta Knight would be in the same boat, but they're shown swimming underwater. I can't do the same buoyancy calculations because there's no official weight these two have. Must be that they're weirdly dense for characters that can float in the air. I don't know. I would have thought that fire attacks and magic attacks wouldn't work underwater, but Sora can cast fire magic with no issues, so I guess physics don't matter at all in this series. I also think Pokemon Trainer is limited to using Squirtle and maybe a transformed aquatic Ivysaur. Charizard would probably have to stay in the ball to protect its tail. Can Charizard and Incineroar even be submerged in water as fire types? I don't really know, and it hurts my brain to try and wrap my head around it. There's not much of note to say until we reach King Triton. Goofy mouths off about the keyholes and Triton throws a fit.
From an ocean very far away.
Yup, we came to find the keyhole.
The what?
What's that?
Well, it's a...
There's no such thing, certainly not here.
But Daddy...
Ariel, not another word. You are not to leave the palace. Is that clear?
After arguing with her father, we find ourselves following Ariel back to her little grotto of collectibles as she throws a fit too. I can see where she gets it from. After stealing some of her shit right in front of her, we head to the sunken ship where we encounter the shark. After defending ourselves and grabbing the magical MacGuffin, we head back to Ariel's hideout, where her father finds us and throws another fit.
Ariel, you've disobeyed me again. I told you not to leave the palace.
Daddy, no! How could you?
What is it with these two? She storms off again for the umpteenth time and gets tricked by Ursula into taking her to her dad's unguarded trident.
But maybe I can help you.
I need an adult.
I am an adult.
What the hell is the most powerful item in the ocean just floating unattended for? Was low on batteries and Triton figured,
it's okay. I'll plug it in and go microwave a burrito in the meantime. I mean, there's been no incident in decades.
What the actual hell? Ursula didn't even need to trick Ariel. She could have just moseyed on in any time and grabbed it whenever Triton wants a power nap, apparently. Triton mentions to beat her, we'll have to strike her cauldron with magic. Uh-oh. I smell a progression stopper, maybe. Or it would have been, because unlike the shadow blobs, as you can see here, Donald apparently can attack the cauldron. After a number of magic spells enters the cauldron, Ursula's barrier disappears and she can have her shit kicked in. I'm not kidding you, we would have had 5 eliminations here if Donald didn't come to the rescue for once. Guess he's more than just a corpse we take from battle to battle after all. After handling the sea bitch, she grows massive and, yeah, our partners can basically handle her on their own.
Alright, fellas, I'm ready to fight. You want me on top? You're gonna make me come, or I'm gonna kick your butt. Come here! Come here now! Oh, baby! Oh, you make me so hot now! Come here!
Oh, that's good.
Oh, you make me so hot! Oh, come here!
What the hell was that?
We got rid of Jigglypuff and that's it. Maybe everyone's way better than we thought. Well, regardless, we get to go to Neverland next.
I didn't think you'd come, Sora.
Oh, yeah?
Good to see you again.
Well, where are Donald and Goofy?
Are they that important to you? More important than old friends?
Yes!
Instead of worrying about them, you should be asking...
After meeting up again with Riku and seeing this poor girl that looks like she's been roofied. What was her name again? Corey? Curly? Well, regardless, he leaves a shadow doppelganger behind to watch us fall into a trapdoor. After Goofy suggests that we go up and talk to Kyrie Feldman, Donald suggests we do some inappropriate things together first.
Okay, but first, how about dinner?
After we're done performing hand-to-gland combat, we meet up with Peter Pan, who is watching us from the corner this whole time like a real voyeur. He joins up with us and we work our way up the ship, fighting our shadow self and various Heartless on the way. After fighting our doppelganger in a fight that should look familiar to any Link, we make our way to Captain Hook. Do you think he's just jealous he couldn't join our earlier self-gratification session with his hook hand and that's why he's so pissed? Riku's run off with Kyrie Taylor and Hook is threatening the life of Tinkerbell. Peter Pan gives a spot-on Smee impression getting Hook out of hiding.
Aye, Captain. They walked the plank, every last one of them.
After Hook gets penetrated by a Peter from behind, he decides it's time to not be a little pansy and fight back for once. We proceed to give him the ass-whooping of his life and toss his ass towards the gaping maw of the Tick-Tock Croc, which he avoids by defying the laws of physics. Now here's something interesting I thought of when they get to Big Ben at the end. First off, the world can't be completed until we manually hit the clock hands on one face until it hits midnight. I thought at first that only good characters could use the pixie dust, meaning everyone else would need some sort of flight capability to do this. Then I remember that Peter Pan said in the movies you just need to think happy thoughts.
Say, that's it. You think of a wonderful thought.
Any happy little thoughts?
Uh-huh.
So someone like Wario could be happy thinking about how rich he'll become when all this is over, without actually having to be a good guy. Then I went down the rabbit hole of who really has thoughts in the traditional sense. Dark Samus is just a being of instinct, seemingly. I know she has intelligence, but still. And Rob is simply a robot, and unlike Mega Man, I don't think he has his own thoughts. In the end, I guess this existentialism on what it means to be sentient doesn't matter at all, because the Disney Wiki says the dust gives them flight. Just does it. Peter was just being an asshole. Checks out. Man, these last few worlds barely eliminated anyone. This game's got to step up its game. I'm going to skip over yet another trip to Traverse Towns just to get a navigation gummy, and we'll make our way to Hollow Bastion. The first thing we see is the Beast confronting Riku, and prominently getting his ass kicked.
So, you finally made it. About time. I've been waiting for you. We've always been rivals, haven't we? You've always pushed me, as I've always pushed you.
Riku!
But it all ends here. There can't be two Keyblade Masters.
What are you talking about?
Let the Keyblade choose. Its true master. Maleficent was right.
Maybe I am gay. Holy fuck, I'm gay.
Goofy, let's go. We have to remember our mission.
Oh, well, I know the king told us to follow the key and all.
Donald and Goofy will decide to leave us behind to go with him instead. The Beast decides since we're both losers that it's worth joining us for a bit. Now, since none of these characters have the Keyblade, they won't actually be weaponless here. After some puzzle solving, we eventually catch up to Donald, Goofy, and Riku. Doland and Goobert decide they actually prefer us over Riku and rejoin our team. They just tolerate Wario slightly more than Riku somehow. Not wanting to play side chick, Riku gets pissed and attacks us. Since our party can basically handle him on their own here, there's not much to say, this time.
Right next to a huge steaming bowl of foreshadowing.
After going through a library, something Banjo's probably never heard of in his life, we reach some of the dumbest roadblocks you would never even imagine. In the entrance hall, we have to collect these emblems to open the door to progress the game. One piece requires you light all these candles with fire, and another requires we strike this thing with electricity. The worst part? Donald has the spells, but he'll never do it for you. Yes, much like how the character's involvement would change the story, and we can't let it, that's not the point of this video, these characters all made it through insurmountable odds and defeated powerful enemies just to not save the world because of a door. Our fallen heroes who couldn't conjure electricity and or fire in any way are Mario, Donkey Kong, Yoshi, Pikachu, Captain Falcon, Peach, Daisy, Dr. Mario, Marth, Chrom, Meta Knight, Snake, Ike, Diddy Kong, Toon Link, Greninja, Banjo and Kazooie, Terry, Pyra, Mithra, and me, Sword Fighter. Some are self-explanatory, but I guess I owe an explanation for some of my choices. Mario himself has so much technology and abilities available, but I can't find any instance where he himself can harness electricity, maybe with a power-up, but not just on his own. You might be surprised to find Luigi wasn't eliminated if Mario was. Well, in Superstar Saga, each brother gets special hand techniques. Not like that. Get your mind out of the gutter. Mario gets the element of fire, which both seem capable of at different instances, but only Luigi gets electricity. Pikachu can't learn any fire moves and Greninja can't learn fire or electric. While Kazooie has a dragon form capable of breathing fire, neither she nor Banjo can harness electricity. While all Links have the ability to use fire in various ways, Toon Link can't use electricity. Link has Zerbosa's Fury, and young Link can use the Zora Mask, giving him this electrical barrier. Lucina, Robin, Corrin, and Byleth all wield the ability to use tomes, which include fire and electric elements. Roy has fire elemental attacks inherently with his sword, but he can also wield the Levin sword, granting electric attacks too. Marth, Chrom, and Ike all lack one or both elements, unfortunately. Finally, if Pyra and Mithra were still inhabiting one body, this wouldn't be a problem, as Pyra is obviously fire. Mithra can harness some electrical power despite being the light element. I'm counting each separately for this run though. Any character that has access to some sort of laser attack or weapon I counted towards electricity, I don't care if it's technically plasma or something else, I'm trying here. Okay, fine. I'm gonna add a can't get through the door but finish the game otherwise tier. If you want to argue Donald would do it for them, then fine, use that explanation. I know you could also argue that they would get all the spells Sora would, but I'm not doing that. We want a challenge, and I also didn't think of that until editing it into this sentence right now. Too late to rewrite it. Would have thought a locked door could cause so much havoc. After we get through the door, there are multiple rooms you must traverse and fight our way through until we reach the best Disney villain and just okay Kingdom Hearts villain, Maleficent.
I'm afraid you're too late. Any moment now, the final keyhole will be unsealed. This world will be plunged into darkness. It is unstoppable.
There's no escaping, banana. Prepare to die.
We'll stop it. After coming this far, there's no way we're gonna let that happen.
You poor, simple fools. You think you can defeat me? Me, the mistress of all evil!
She has two phases in this fight. The first involves this floating platform. I've always used one of the gravity spells to bring it down and assumed you'd have to do it that way. I never really paid attention to the fact that you can just smack it around until it drops, and then you can smack her around. This fight was pretty easy. I think phase 2 should be pretty— oh god!
Holy shit, you fucking killed her, dude!
Yes, after she's beaten and we follow her through the portal, we have probably the hardest boss up to this point. She's pissed at us big time, even though she should be more mad at Riku. Look, I'm gonna say it. I know that Prince What's-His-Name beat her in the movie and you might be pissed and think I'm saying he's stronger than some of these characters I'm about to eliminate, but you have to understand, I'm an idiot.
Hey! Oopsie poopsie! Aww.
No, of course I'm not saying that he's more powerful. In the context of this game, I just think she's more powerful than her movie counterpart based on how the power scaling is to other enemies. We're eliminating Ness, Lucas, Fox, Falco, Wolf, Zero Suit Samus, not regular Samus, I need to make that distinction, Rob, Bowser Jr., Rosalina, and Min Min from the main group. We're also cutting Donkey Kong, Yoshi, Pikachu, Captain Falcon, Dr. Mario, Diddy Kong, and me, Sword Fighter, out of the door group into fails. I don't think any of these characters have the raw power, equipment, and or skills needed to beat her. I wanted to include Steve too, but he beat the Ender Dragon, who can break through the hardest material in the game with ease. It's at very least comparable. I included other Pokemon winning, but not Pikachu. Pikachu's in-game stats aren't really that great, to be honest. All of these Pokemon outclass it except Squirtle, but Squirtle at least is partnered up with Ivysaur and Charizard, both more powerful than Pikachu. Ness beat Gygus, it's gotta be a bigger threat than Maleficent. I don't know, maybe? Seems to be more of a psychic mental battle or something metaphysical more than tangible. I mean, they're kids. Crazy strong kids, but I don't think a baseball bat is cutting it.
All right, everyone!
I don't know. Remember what I said in the beginning. Just don't think too hard about it. If you're not satisfied with those explanations, that's okay, because the solo fight against Riku Ants would prove I don't think any of them are skilled enough for a one-on-one combat with him.
Kairi! 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 Open your eyes!
It's no use. That girl has lost her heart. She cannot wake up.
What? You're not Riku?
Girls, who are you supposed to be?
Kairi's heart rests within you!
Kairi's inside me?
Phrasing?
Not only does he skillfully counterattack, but he has an attack where he's essentially invincible until it's finished. I think Riku is too fast and powerful for some characters, being fairly comparable to Sora. Luigi, Bowser, Pokemon Trainer, King Dedede, Wario, Robin, Corrin, Byleth, King K. Rool, Incineroar, Steve, and Zelda are eliminated from the main group. I just think they're all too slow or simply not skilled enough fighters. This is Zelda from A Link Between Worlds, not Chic Zelda from Ocarina of Time. Honestly, her magic shown in Smash is what got her this far, and normally I don't even count that. She basically has no feats in game. From the door group, we've removed Mario. Blasphemous, I know. Snake, Banjo, and Kazooie. You don't have to agree with it, it's just my optics on the situation. Getting back to the plot. Normally Sora uses Riku's Keyblade to free Kairi Minogue's heart trapped within him, turning himself into a Heartless in the process. Well, none of our characters have a connection to Kairi Jenner, so make up whatever explanation you want where her heart was and how she gets it back. It'll make about as much sense as what Nomura wrote.
You? This time, I'll protect you. Sora! Kairi.
I got a boner.
We make a retreat out of the castle and take her back for safekeeping at Traverse Town. Normally it'd be a good time to tackle side quests, but we're not doing that. We're heading right back to where we just were and do an uneventful battle with the behemoth. After we're finished kicking ass, we notice our Final Fantasy characters came to say goodbyes. Once the final keyhole to seal, everyone's worlds will be separate once again. Real nice for our other friends we made to come say hi. Dicks. After the keyhole gets sealed, somehow, the Disney princesses, trademarked, minus Belle come to exposit some more and, hey, why is Alice a princess of heart and not Ariel? They racist to mermaids or what? Also, why is Alice so short? How old is she? How do slippers add that much height, or is Cinderella ready to give death by snoo-snoo? These are life's biggest questions. After the final mandatory gummy run, thank Christ, we finally arrive at the end of the world. Not at World's End because that name is reserved for the Pirates franchise and we can't mix franchises in this crossover. You'll notice we have a huge gauntlet ahead of us. First off is this kind of watery looking place filled with combat challenges. Not much to say here. After that we have a series of platforming challenges that we can basically ignore because ultimately the goal is the geyser portal thing at the bottom anyways. We follow this up with more combat challenges from the beams of light. It should be noted that you only have to do ones from worlds that weren't sealed, but none of these are roadblocks anyway, so it doesn't matter. What is a possible roadblock is a battle with Satan himself. Chernabog if you're nasty. So now's a good time to bring up the whole flying thing. Technically, we gain the glide ability from Neverland, and this fight requires we can fly. Do we say everyone has access to whatever ability Sora can get? I know I pissed some people off with the magic door earlier when I said they couldn't use Sora's magic. Out of the ones still left in the door group, maybe you could argue that all of them except Greninja could learn them. But I said no because they can't learn other magic in their series, so why should they be able to learn it here? Flight should be the same, right? Well, you see those gold sparkles around us? That's pixie dust. Therefore, it's Tinkerbell causing us to fly, not just our latent abilities. Some of our characters absolutely can fly without it, but it won't be a roadblock here. Chernabog is standing in a volcano and accordingly has very strong fire-based attacks. I know it's possible to beat him without taking damage, and you would think I would say that if we beat Maleficent Dragon, we should be able to beat him too. She's actually the harder boss fight in the game, but I feel within KH canon, he's got to be stronger as the penultimate boss. Strong as some characters are, I just feel they aren't beat the devil that's bigger than a mountain strong, you know? I gotta say bye to Roy, Lucario, Ryu and Ken from the main group, and Ike, Greninja, and Terry from the door group. I know I just pissed more of you off. I'm going to be public enemy number 1 by the end of this video. Hopefully you can at least understand my reasoning here. Roy, Ike, Greninja, Ryu, Ken, and Terry haven't been shown to be on mountain busting levels of power here, which is kind of what I think you need to be on a physical level at least. I'm sure someone will correct me on that. If you're wondering why Marth, Lucina, and Chrom have all been spared, it's because they wield the Falchion, which is a holy blade of light. Any form of holy or light magic is enough to defeat Chernabog, similar to how the daylight defeats him in Fantasia. Okay, before we reach Ansem, we have one last combat challenge, a long gauntlet against the toughest regular enemies wave after wave. The Angel Star enemies in particular can multiply indefinitely if not defeated fast enough. Now to piss more of you off, Marth, Lucina, Chrom, Mega Man, Hero, and Kazuya all would be overwhelmed by the numbers, even with Donald and Goofy. In their own games, they never usually have to fight more than one enemy at a time themselves, or they at least have help. I know we've had fights against groups of enemies before, but they're smaller and a lot less powerful. Even the bosses we've gotten past have been basically 1-on-1 at worst or 3-on-1 in our favor. Also, Fire Emblem Warriors doesn't count as proof they can fight huge groups. Generally, some of these enemies are actually harder than some of the bosses. Now, if you're over the butt hurt, we can discuss the final boss fight against Ansem.
Is this my island?
What was that?
Tied to the darkness, soon to be completely eclipsed. There is so very much to learn. You understand so little. A meaningless effort. One who knows nothing can understand nothing. Take a look at this tiny place. To the heart-seeking freedom, this island is a prison, surrounded by water. And so this boy sought out to escape from his prison.
We find ourselves on Destiny Island, and Ansem and Riku's body monologues about shit we don't really care about, so we say,
"Put a cork in it, Zane."
He gets offended and turns into his real form.
Your hair! What are you, gay?
Yeah.
Don't bother. Your voice can no longer reach him where he is. His heart belongs again to darkness.
Darkness! No parents!
The first phase against the asshole from Titanic shows he loves to cross his arms smugly while his guardian does all the work. So far, there's really nothing here our characters can't handle with the help of Donald and Goofy. Oh shit. Phase 2. Yeah, that's right. After one of the bad guys from the hot video game adaptation Blood Rain made by esteemed filmmaker Uwe Boll gets his ass kicked, he retreats towards the center of the island and makes himself a little arena. Donald and Goofy are made to stay outside so Mommy and Daddy can have a talk, so we have to fight the large Heartless known as a Dark Side. This is actually the first boss of the game, but since we skipped over Destiny Islands, we didn't get to see it. I mean, some characters like Wario shouldn't be within 100 feet of a playground, never mind on Epstein Island alone with some kids. Anyways, it's not a challenge for anyone really, but upon defeat it's time to officially start phase 2 of the fight with the guy who was in the Dead Rising sequel movie. Did you even know they had movies? His health is higher, he attacks more often, he has 2 new attacks and we don't have Goofy to help fight or Donald to not heal us, so I guess not much has changed then. He has this rushing attack that makes him not only immune to damage, but it hits like a truck. He can also be dodged or deflected with precise timing. He also floats in the middle while geysers of darkness erupt, chasing us wherever we go. The Guardian will also occasionally latch itself to us and sap our HP or freeze us in place to get hit. What we need here are characters who have great speed, reflexes, block abilities, counterattack options, long-distance attacks, or at least the ability to heal. Meta Knight seems to have faster reflexes than Kirby and seems to not suffer from the same ADHD problems Kirby does. Pit and Dark Pit don't have access to their full abilities here as Palutena isn't here to help them for their individual runs. They are both incredibly accurate with their bows and can reflect attacks even if not at full power. I'm sure someone will correct me, but I don't feel like Kirby has the reflexes or range to handle this fight. Kirby may hit like the meteor that took out the dinosaurs, but it doesn't seem to have the fast reflexes. Even if he does, this HP sapping ability kind of bypasses a character's physical defenses, so it helps to have healing abilities. I know taking out the potentially strongest character is seen as blasphemy in some of your eyes, but Kirby will have shots at other titles. I've already prepped myself for the hate this gets.
Yes, your anger fuels me.
Behold the endless abyss. Within it lies the heart of all worlds. Kingdom Hearts.
He said it! He said it!
Look as hard as you are able. You'll not find even the smallest glimmer of light. From those dark depths are all hearts born. Even yours.
The World of Chaos. Sounds like either a really cool amusement park attraction or a really lame band name you thought was awesome as a teenager. We find ourselves in a dark abyss by the door to Kingdom Hearts. The background goon from Back to the Future starts monologuing about darkness, blah blah blah. Hearts, evil, darkness, darkness, hearts. You get it. The World of Chaos is more just a floating being that's a brisk 30 seconds walk across than a world, but I think he just feels self-conscious about his size. It's okay, little buddy. She won't be disappointed when she sees you're not a full world. It is like a fleshy battleship that fits right in with Final Fantasy's final bosses quite nicely. First, we find ourselves fighting a giant version of the voice of the other love interest named John from the hit Disney home video direct-to-VHS and DVD sequel Pocahontas 2 Journey to a New World. Holy shit, that was a mouthful. Eventually he gets pissed and lasers start shooting from basically nowhere that we have to deal with at the same time. Keep in mind we're still all alone as Donald and Goofy are stuck in the darkness somewhere. The amount of juggling we have to do between healing ourselves, attacking, and dodging is a little much. I honestly think it's going to prove to be too much against Dark Samus. Dark Samus needs Phazon to heal and repair damage, which she hasn't had all game, but even her speed and reflexes won't keep her safe from these lasers for long. We know that she's weak to these kinds of attacks. Regular Samus always got the best of her and has more games worth of upgrades, weapons, and experience to deal with these issues. Without Phazon, it seems inevitable she'll sustain too much damage at some point in this journey and be done in. If we make it through this first round, we find ourselves transported to a room full of Heartless. After the room is cleared, we're ejected back out to where King Neptune from the Adam Sandler stinker Going Overboard is. He's got these pervy hentai tentacles all over that we have to destroy, opening up the portal to where Goofy is. We destroy another combat room of Heartless, harder ones this time, but we have the aid of Goofy going forward. We find ourselves facing off against this evil dead tree looking head in the front of the World of Chaos. In terms of offensive capabilities, it pretty much only has these pillars of electricity that shoot down and strike us. They do hit pretty hard though. Upon defeat, we can fly into its mouth to recover Donald at another combat room. With our party back together and the demon head defeated, the barrier surrounding the core of this place goes down. The penis monsters try shooting their loads at us as we make our way to the core. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a fan of how this thing throbs and jiggles as we beat it. Way too much suggestive imagery for a kid's game. Or maybe I'm a pervert. You decide.
Oh, you pervert!
So to be completely candid, any character that made it through the first round of this phase when they were alone have basically beaten the game. The final round against the Collector from Demon Knight isn't any more difficult, and we have Donald and Goofy with us. He goes down promptly. After many cutscenes involving Riku atoning for his sins, the guy who screwed a bat with Randy Marsh, and a final tearful goodbye with Kyrie Eleison, who we didn't really know, we finally hit the credits. Where does everyone stack up? Most have failed at some point. We have 4 that couldn't pass
This damn door!
but could beat the game, being Meta Knight, Toon Link, Pyra, and Mithra. This is where their journey ends. They should still be proud of what they've done. We're left with 18 characters that fully legitimately beat the game. They passed the test. But can they go beyond? We still have Olympus Coliseum to complete, and that also includes 11 bosses, some even more powerful than Billy Zane's Seeker of Paychecks. So going to Olympus, we think we see the beautiful specimen of a man, Danny DeVito. Turns out he's just an impersonator, and a rude one at that, trying to tell us that we're not real heroes? Yeah, okay. Pretty sure most of these characters can move the thing, Phil. We are given a task that involves some barrels. Unfortunately, Donkey Kong's not still here to do it because that's a specialty. Even though we do the task, Phil tells us we still can't compete in the games, and that's coming from a guy who can't count unless you're playing the game in Greek. On our walk of shame out of there, Hades stops us and literally gives us a free pass into the games. Pretty sure Mewtwo could just read his mind and know what his real motive is, but whatever. Hades would probably be extremely confused on why Cloud is with Donald and Goofy and doesn't know who he is. Regardless, they go into the tournament, fighting rounds against simple groups of Heartless. In round 7, we find ourselves facing off against Cloud Strife, only he's in a weird getup and definitely isn't the same one from FF7. I can imagine this Cloud would be shocked as hell to see the real Cloud in Sephiroth. Cloud from FF7 has a clear advantage in terms of power and abilities, and Sephiroth will probably enjoy kicking the shit out of a Cloud for once. Now, I think if we ignore actual in-game stats for a second and look at what the character's actual in-game power seems to be, Cloud is a fairly formidable opponent. We're not going with the idea that our characters are literally leveling up in the game, they're full power all the time. Similarly, Cloud is at a much weaker power and lower health for balancing reasons. We shouldn't assume that he's weaker than Captain Hook, for example, because of their program stats. Even still, it actually doesn't matter if he beats anyone or not, because it doesn't halt progression. Regardless of the outcome of our fight, we will inevitably move on to the fight with Cerberus. Ooh, that's gotta hurt. Embarrassing, too. Hercules manages to get the recently flattened Cloud out of the way, and Phil proves he can't count again.
Kid, I got 2 words of advice for you. Attack!
Cerberus proves to be a lot more of a challenge than he would be in Kingdom Hearts 2. He can launch these kind of homing meteors, can send a shockwave along the ground when he jumps, spew darkness into the ground that homes in from underneath us, and has 3 hungry heads to chomp us with. I know I've been kind of glossing over a lot of these fights all video, but if characters aren't getting eliminated, there's not much to say about it. Cerberus went down after a well-fought fight, but it wasn't anything the remaining— Holy shit! Samwise Gamgee is the voice of Hercules?
Well, that's just something you'll have to find out for yourself.
KH Cloud, that's what he shall will henceforth be known as, is being all angsty on the staircase and alludes to his weird on-again, off-again relationship with KH Sephiroth.
So, why did you go along with him anyway?
I'm looking for someone. Hades promised to help. I tried to exploit the power of the darkness.
We offer to rematch him and he tries to be cool and walk away, but we know it'll be sooner rather than later. In fact, we're going to skip right over the Phil and Pegasus Cups, as we can kick everyone's ass, including Squall and Yuffie. During the Hercules Cup, we have a rematch against Cloud in the middle, and he's been amped up a little to be more threatening. The final battle of the cup is against Hercules himself, who's actually invincible until we throw a barrel at him? Who thought that made sense, Nomura? The real meat of this world is the Hades Cup. There's 49 seeds we have to fight to become number 1. We have to face many enemies again in tougher forms as well, including Yuffie, a behemoth, and a Cerberus. Once we reach seed 20, we have to fight Cloud and Squall together. Again, just having the 3-on-1 advantage against Cloud was doing a lot to help our situation in some cases, but now it's 3-on-2. It would appear that Squall, and yes, I refuse to call him Leon, that's a different pretty boy with the line collar, is enough to handle Donald and Goofy on his own. Who do I think would have a tough time against KH Cloud? I know I said I think regular Cloud is tougher, he certainly has more feats, but this guy can certainly fight too. Sheik has the speed to avoid his powerful attacks, and she has to watch out for Squall too, mind you, but I don't think she has the strength output to deal with both. When she's Zelda, she has a lot more magic and defensive capabilities, but she lacks the speed and aggression needed. I honestly think the pair would be too much for her, and this is where we draw the line. I didn't really think Pit or Dark Pit were able to keep up as well as they did anyways, but keep in mind they don't have Palutena's power to sap off of here. They can handle Squall and maybe stay fairly even with KH Cloud, but the two together is a little overwhelming. Even if Donald and Goofy try to help, they also stay on this tier. C10 is against the Lord of the Underworld and practically Satan himself, James Woods.
Oh, hey, how you doing, everybody? Yeah, got a minute? Hades, Lord of the Dead, nice to see you. Hey, guess what?
You have James Woods.
He isn't the worst to fight. He has times where he's invulnerable, but all of his attacks revolve around fire. Samus, Young Link, and Ridley all kind of have immunity to fire in different ways, so it's not a hard challenge for them.
Hey guys, get away from me! Oh, come on!
What about the boss of Seed 1, the Rock Titan? I understand in-game that the boss is actually super easy, but if we look at it from a canonical point of view, it's actually quite a formidable foe. We're fighting what basically amounts to a sentient mountain. On a level of pure power alone, most characters have strength to damage rock and hurt the Titan. Link, Samus, Young Link, Simon, Richter, and Joker all lack the pure striking powder on a base level to do anything, so what else do they have to help them in this situation? Samus has power bombs, super missiles, and a hyper cannon that should all have the ability to do some real damage. Link and Young Link have various powerful bombs at their disposal, as well as the Master Sword. Though Sora is very strong, it would seem the Keyblade adds some extra oomph in his attack, being that it's a magical weapon. Like a 14-year-old shouldn't be able to do this much damage with a hunk of metal, you know? So I think the Master Sword or the Vampire Killer Rips have enough extra properties to be on par with the Keyblade, wouldn't you say? Now what to do about Joker? I'll be honest, I don't know the first thing about him. When I do these videos, I try my hardest to learn about each character and their background. You know, I really try to do my homework on this stuff, so I apologize in advance when I say I can't seem to find any of Joker's feats that are on this necessary level of power we're talking about here. That is besides the Versus Battle wiki, but that site is filled with so much tism that I can't in good faith use it as a reference. I mean, it says Eric Cartman is capable of destroying a small city, has peak human strength, and subsonic reaction speed. Yes, the fat 4th grader with a potty mouth is apparently on par with Batman or stronger according to this. I think Joker beat the game, but he didn't Gerard Khalil it. I mean completed it, not allegations of charity fraud. With Olympus sealed, what is there left to do? Well, there's 5 super bosses we can face. We'll be back to Olympus to finish off 2 of the 5 that are here, but let's get a little change of scenery for a bit. I think to start with, we'll go to Agrabah and do the fight against Kurt Zisa. If you think that this sounds like the name of some dude more than a nightmare creature meant to kick your ass, you'd be correct. The real guy won a contest to have his name in the game and they slapped it onto this thing. What an honor? It starts off by casting silence on us, making magic useless. Uh-oh. Yeah, this guy starts making all magic useless, so he has to be handled with physical attacks only. Then the next phase he's immune to physical and only can be hurt by magic. This is definitely the hardest fight yet. This is absolutely blasphemous to say, but I have to count Bayonetta out. Before you burn me like a witch, I have to explain. All of her abilities come from magic, and her deals she made with Demon adds to her power, but it's all magic based. Even her guns use it to an extent. I'm not going to get into the argument that she's simply too powerful for the spell to work. For the purposes of this video, it does. Without her magic, she's a flexible, athletic woman with guns. I think she gets stomped without her powers, and believe me, it hurts to say that. We have to rely on Goofy pretty much as our damage dealer, and that doesn't fly. Any way I look at it, it seems Palutena's powers can all be considered magic as well. Unlike something like Sonic Speed, for example, it's entirely the cause of her power as a divine being. She's powerless without magic as well. Ganondorf would lose a lot of his power, but the Triforce of Power itself lends him incredible physical strength. Do we consider Mewtwo's psychic powers as magic? Would it lose them? Here's the thing about Mewtwo's powers. If you think its psychic abilities are magic, how effective is it going to be in Phase 2? If it's not magic, how effective is it in Phase 1? It can learn both physical attacks and what you would consider elemental special attacks, so I think it's actually okay here, but you can see where I'm coming from. So, Phase 1 weeded out 2 characters, but what about Phase 2 where the opposite happens? Well, Sonic may be overpowered, but he doesn't have any latent magical abilities. I know Sonic and the Secret Rings is a thing, but he doesn't get this extra outside help anyways from the Genie in the Ring. I know technically Donald can damage the boss, but I don't think we could do anything with Sonic here. He goes too. Shulk similarly had the powerful Monado, but it seems there aren't traditional magic spells he can use. Without magic, he can't kill the boss. And if the Monado is magic, then he can't do the physical side. You see the conundrum here, right? Now you'd think Samus wouldn't have magic, but her light and dark cannons are technically elemental energy, so I think that actually gives her a pass here. If Shulk's Monado could do the same thing, I apologize in advance. I'm sure I pissed many people off with this video already, as I've said many times. You know, I'd actually be open to people that want to help with research if interested. For real. If you think I keep screwing up your favorite characters, let me know and we can talk about future projects. Ridley's fireballs can actually be considered elemental magic, much like Simon and Richter's base magic can. I can't believe how crazy this was. Can it get any worse? Oh yeah, the Phantom from Neverland. It just got worse. It's not that I think these bosses would be harder than some we have faced, it's literally the weird quirks of these particular fights that make it a problem. The Phantom starts the fight with a spell that causes a doom countdown. Basically, the clock counts down on one party member, and when it reaches 0, it starts again for the other member, and a third time for us. Once it reaches 0, it's game over. To stop the count, we have to stop time for the clock while we fight. The Phantom itself will also only be able to be damaged by an attack that matches its color. Blue is blizzard or ice magic, yellow is thunder or electricity, red is fire, and white is physical attacks. Great, it's the Kurt Zisa fight again, only with weird specifics. Cloud and Sephiroth both have capabilities to use stop magic, so the clock isn't an issue, much like with Sora. Link and Young Link also have time manipulating items that can rewind time, so they're actually probably better off in this regard than even Sora was. Simon and Richter both have the stopwatch, which pauses time for 5 seconds at a time. If they have the stamina, they can do it almost indefinitely. You could argue Ganondorf's Triforce of Power may grant him the ability to use magic similar to Stop, since it's stated to give him unlimited magical energy among other things. Samus and Ridley similarly don't have time manipulation abilities. Everyone has physical attacks, so the white barrier isn't a problem. Does everyone have an electric attack equivalent to thunder magic? With the use of materia, Sephiroth and Cloud can use all 3 elements, so they get a pass in this fight. Link has fire, ice, and shock arrows, so he gets a pass too. Young Link has fire and ice arrows, but no shock arrow. Luckily, his Zora form has that electrical barrier we mentioned earlier, and he can produce that to get through this. Going back to the whole Ganondorf has infinite magic thing means I'm sure he can conjure up the right spells to get the job done. Samus has an ice beam and multiple electrical beams and the Magmal beam, so she's in the clear. You two can learn all 3 types of attacks, so it also passes. The Vampire Killer is capable of all 3 forms of magic as well. That just leaves Ridley. His Plasma Breath does take the form of fire sometimes. He can create a shockwave of electricity by slamming on the ground, but this fight is entirely in the air. Well, I could overlook the technicality on the shockwave maybe, but he also doesn't have an ice-based attack, so I think Ridley can't complete this fight. Well, let's go back to Olympus for the next 2 fights. First off is the gold match against the Ice Titan. In-game, it's certainly a much harder boss. In canon, it really shouldn't be any stronger than the Rock Titan was. The thing with this fight is we have to face it alone. Donald and Goofy can't help us here. How do we deal with this bastard? Its weakness is its face, so we need to be able to do one of 3 things. Get up to its face somehow, attack it from a distance and have the attacks actually be strong enough to do damage, or have the ability to deflect its attacks back at him. It's actually quite a difficult fight if you don't have the pattern down. Let's see. Sephiroth, Mewtwo, and Ganondorf all have some flight capabilities and get up to its face for a quick kill. Cloud has a powerful enough jump that he can reach it. Link, Young Link, and Samus all have powerful ranged attacks, including fire-based ones that can cause extra damage, and that leaves us with Simon and Richter. Oh yeah, they have many projectile attacks and can deflect attacks with the Vampire Killer. Disaster averted.
Show yourself, Dracula, or I'll tear Castlevania from its very foundation.
Dracula's the least of your worries, Simon Belmont. A whip? I hope you brought something more powerful than that. Ow! 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 Holy crow, that hurt! I can't feel my damn fingers!
Take me to your master!
Ow.
Who are you?
I am Sam?
What's that supposed to mean?
Next up is Unknown, aka Zemnis from KH2, but I don't know if he offers anything more than what already threw at them. Oh, it's clear that he's not fighting full force. It might seem anticlimactic, but that's it.
Whoa. Nice cock.
It's the Platinum match. I wanted to save this fight for last, as it seems to be the most epic. It's against Lance Bass from NSYNC himself. He's gonna try telling us bye bye bye, and we're gonna tell him to go die die die.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
This is probably canonically the hardest fight, even if in-game it's not. Our Sephiroth wins the mirror match, of course. I don't think anyone would argue that mainline Sephiroth is basically a god after merging with the Lifestream, and KH Sephiroth isn't quite on that level. Cloud has also beaten Sephiroth twice, so Diet Sephiroth shouldn't be an issue.
Why'd you run out on me? Because you're not quite evil enough. But it's true. You're quasi-evil. You're semi-evil. You're the margarine of evil. You're the Diet Coke of evil. Just 1 calorie, not evil enough.
That being said, Sephiroth has crazy range with his sword and can summon giant pillars of flame, teleportation, dark homing orbs, meteors that fall from the sky and swing around the arena, followed by a giant explosive attack at the end. We need characters who can fight at range, have amazing blocking abilities, can dodge quickly, or at least have a way to recover health. Ganondorf hits harder than a coked out Kyle punching a drywall, but that doesn't mean he has much protection against some of these attacks. Sephiroth seems much faster than him, so it would be hard to use his overwhelming strength to even hit him. He also doesn't have much for defensive magic to deflect attacks, and he's too slow to dodge. His biggest range attack is this slow orb that he can play tennis with, but Sephiroth wouldn't have a problem deflecting it. Even in his Ganon form, his speed and dodging still need work. Since Sephiroth is on a similar power scale to him anyways, I think he loses because of the many other problems. Mewtwo can fight on a similar scale, but keep in mind Pokemon fight with limited usage on their moves. Every attack uses PP, or power points. Every time it uses recover to heal itself, that goes down until it eventually runs out. Teleport also has limited usage. I probably went overboard this whole time and gave it a pass because it could learn so many different moves, and there's not exactly any TMs in the Kingdom Hearts games. Even if Mewtwo can fight on equal footing with Sephiroth, Sephiroth isn't going to tire or run out of usage of his attacks. It's a war of attrition that Sephiroth is winning. Even if you want to say that Mewtwo can manipulate his mind, don't forget Sephiroth has similar abilities. This last scripted fight in FF7 is basically a mental projection into Cloud's mind, and he was able to communicate more or less from beyond the grave. Mewtwo is also out. Everyone that's left is agile, has great ranged options and great defensive options. It's not easy, but I think they pass. Our final group of characters that I think completed every boss fight in the game are Link, Young Link, Samus, Cloud, Sephiroth, Simon, and Richter.
Congratulations!
I'm sure people disagree with most of my choices. Please let me know if a character went further than they should have, or if I inevitably screwed something up and someone should have got further. I look forward to more videos like this in the future and love to tackle KH2. When this video releases, I'll have a poll up on what you think the next video should be, after the ones already in production, of course. Next video, we'll see our cast of colorful characters answering a distress call to Dulvey, Louisiana. If you like this video, you can like, comment, and subscribe, and if you'd like to support the channel, you can subscribe to my Patreon for some additional perks, such as your name in the credits and more. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to wake the wingfish.